Um, Spring 2026. This was started in the fall of 2023 with a couple of plantings, and the following year and the last year I planted many more perennials, which I will walk through and show you. But originally this was all left fallow for maybe a decade, and it grew mostly to Canada violet, native spreading, creeping ground cover. And what I initially did was I did sheet mulching and planted this Yostaberry, this Nanking cherry, and a couple of pawpaws. This seedling pawpaw here, that's on its third season, and another seedling pawpaw over here. So these are little sheet mulched islands. I've kept them covered with just one layer of cardboard, and then continuous wood chip cover, maybe every spring and fall. I might have missed one here or there, and with occasional hand weeding, which I just did. So everything that's green has just been kind of chopped and dropped. And I've kind of repeated that pattern over the years of establishing all these other plants here. And it's worked pretty well. So this was actually oregano that I've left to grow. It's a nice aromatic herb. I didn't really want to fight it. It spreads a lot. I don't think it's going to interfere much with the growth of the plants. And it'll kind of hopefully deter some of the more hungry rodents and stuff with its strong aroma. I'm not too sure about how that goes, but I'm trying it out. And so I've kind of mapped out these islands that I've kind of slowly expanded to include haskaps, more haskaps back there, goumyberry, hazelnut, another pawpaw that I added in this spring. This is a persimmon that I added in last fall, seedling persimmon. Another hazelnut there, another goumyberry, another hazelnut. This is that first pawpaw. Here I've added in a bitternut hickory, which might eventually grow, hopefully, if it survives this transplant. Might eventually grow to replace this crabapple as the canopy large tree in this garden, in this whole neighborhood actually, next to that giant willow there. And in the front I planted a apricot seedling from a friend, as well as a pawpaw just behind. And finally I just put a sucker of my Boyne red raspberry here this spring from my backyard, as I try to kind of fill in this space. My mom bought an ornamental, I think it was a hyacinth, no, not a hyacinth, like hydrangea, but it kind of hasn't done so well with the transplant shock, but hopefully it'll come back. Yeah, so those are all the plantings, and as I've been mowing it last year and the year before, I noticed now that there's some invasive seeds that are germinating that I need to manage within a reasonable amount of effort. Creeping bellflower is one, and then just now I found a bunch of garlic mustard in flower that I dug up the roots of. So I'm not sure how that's going to go, but my overall goal right now is to set up a system that is low maintenance. Maybe every 2 weeks I can come through and I just created these paths kind of organically just now. A little walking path through to the front yard, and then here's a meandering path around the tree towards the swing for the kids. Access to these plants for weeding, access to all those plants for weeding, and for picking berries when they start fruiting. So yeah, this kind of sketches out different areas of the yard where I'm kind of leaving this flower. I don't even know what this flowering plant is right now. I know I've ID'd it before, but I forget what it is. I've kind of seeded some wild strawberry in different parts, mostly in the islands. And I've seen how that spreads. Let's see if there's any here that has survived. None here, but here's an example of the wild strawberry that spreads after a year or two. And after a year in the ground, it'll spread a lot, and that's a really lovely ground cover that I want to see more. Here's another example of the wild strawberry in flower, where it produces these beautiful edible berries. There's some more back there. Yeah, so kind of eventually these can be a different kind of meadow. Maybe my sister, when she moves into this house, might want to plant some flowers here. I used to have haskaps here, but I had to move them because they needed to get a disposal container into this yard. So, you know, I have to keep it functional as well. So right now everything is on that half of the yard in case they need that disposal container. And I did a nice pruning of this crabapple tree this year. I took off maybe 20% of the canopy, and it's doing really well. And yeah, so I just sketched out the mowing path. I didn't know what I was going to do. I have this old mower that I found, real mower. It takes a bit of work to get going, and to clear the branches that get stuck in it. But I think that's kind of nice. I'm gonna, instead of putting wood chips down, which would require a lot of reapplication of wood chips, a really thick layer to keep the weeds down, I'm gonna try out continuous mowing every 2 weeks here in this whole season of the same path, and then hand weeding. What I found is that these logs are actually pretty nice. These are just branches that I've picked up from different garden sources, including from these prunings. These do a pretty good job of creating a bit of a barrier. So what I just did right now was I mowed as close as I could, which wasn't very close because the real mower has a gap where it can't get right to the edge. If I wanted to, I could bring out my hedge trimmer. I didn't really feel like pulling out the extension cord and all that. So I just hand weeded it. Actually used this tool here. It's a version of a hori knife, which is a Japanese gardening implement. It's got a sharp blade on this side and it's got a serrated blade on this side. And it's good for slicing. So what I ended up doing was I just moved this log aside, slice. I slice into the ground to get lower to the roots, slice into the wood chips, and slice the other way as well, and pull a bit with my hands if I needed to, and then just replace this, and it'll keep those down for a while, and at least until the next mow. So I'm trying to do what I can to make it low maintenance, and if I could get thicker logs, I would. I'll think about that moving forward. I like the curves and the kind of the shape it makes. And yeah, that's this front yard.